everybody. I know there's a lot of activity that's going on in front of our eyes, and our hearing isn't the best. There's still a lot of technical things to be worked out. But I'd like to go ahead and get started. We have a special guest who has joined us, and I'd like to bring her forward. Her name is Seema Iyer. She is the Executive Director of the Baltimore Neighbors Alliance. Seema, if you can hear me and unmute yourself, we'd like for you to provide a bit of an introduction and go ahead with your presentation.
I can hear you. I'm wondering if we should mute the room. And I think Lindsay or Deirdre, you'll be able to do that. Ooh. Or did you already do it? The room is muted. All right, everybody. How are you? I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that we're working on and a little bit about ourselves. And it might seem a little bit depressing what I'm about to talk about, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be actually pretty empowering, and maybe we'll get there. Let me bring up my presentation. My name is Seema Iyer, and I oversee the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicators Alliance. I'm going to be talking about a project called the Baltimore Community Change Project, and it's meant to really help neighborhoods understand how things have changed over the last 10 years. And if you are in your chat or you know how to do this on chat, it would be awesome if everybody thought back 10 years ago, 2010, 2011, 2012, what has been going on in the neighborhood for the last 10 years? What are you excited about? What are you concerned about? What are you most proud of? What's been going on in the area that, people have been working for the last 10 years? We've been doing a lot of things in our city. Everybody in every neighborhood is working. So this is not to say that, what I'm about to show you is not because we're not trying. So, but the question is, how do we put those things together that we're doing to actually make the city the kind of city that we want to be living in? So I oversee a project at the University of Baltimore. We put out all kinds of data. Maybe some of you have heard of us, the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicators Alliance. And we issue what's called the Vital Signs Report. We've been doing this for 20 years. We put all kinds of data in the hands of communities, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what that does and how you can use this information for your own advocacy and planning. So if you saw the 2020 census numbers that came out, the city of Baltimore lost 5.7% of our population. Maybe everybody already knew that. The city lost, this is the seventh decade in a row that the city of Baltimore has lost population. Now, it used to be pretty normal, right? All cities along the East Coast were losing population, and so we were in good company. But now we are the only city on the East Coast to be losing any population at all. Newark, New Jersey gained population, Providence, Rhode Island gained population. And what does Baltimore have that Newark, New Jersey, doesn't have? So we have to really think about, why are we the only city? We are actually the only city, it's us and Detroit. Baltimore and Detroit were the only city of our size that lost more than 5% of their population. What is going on in Omaha, Nebraska, that they're gaining population and we're not? So we have to really believe in our hearts that we don't have to be a declining city anymore. We have to say that out loud. We should not be losing population. None of these other cities are losing population. This was actually a census under Donald Trump, and all of these cities gained population and we didn't. In fact, if you look at the 2020 census, it's rural areas in every state that lost more than 2% of their population. The most rural loss in our American history happened in the 2020 census. So this should have been a boon for us for urban areas, but it wasn't. And here's why it's important to look at the neighborhood level. If your neighborhood is growing, you got issues of growth, right? Congestion, housing prices soaring, fear of displacement. And believe it or not, when you get more people, you get more crime. There are crimes associated with retail, like robberies and things like that. But it is actually more incidents of crime. When you're declining, what do we see? The number one thing we see when a neighborhood, that's built up, the city of Baltimore was 950,000 people in the 1950s. And today we're at 585,000. So when you lose that many people, the number one thing you see are vacant and abandoned property, because people leave, but they don't take their houses with them. But this is where we start to see schools closing and grocery stores closing. And so it's all these things wrapped up together because people are not coming into a neighborhood. So the question is, what is going on? We lost population overall by 5.7%, but notice it wasn't even. If we look at the last decade, we had these neighborhoods in blue that grew and these neighborhoods in red that didn't. And Southern Park Heights is right here. Pimlico, Arlington Hilltop is right here. So losing in the last decade. But the problem is that we're continuing to lose in this decade. So the same neighborhoods that grew in the last decade continued to grow in this decade, and the same neighborhoods that declined continue to decline. And for those, we know this pattern, right? We can name it. Dr. Brown from Morgan State has named it. This is essentially what he calls the black butterfly, right? These are predominantly African-American neighborhoods that have continued to lose 2 decades in a row in a very similar pattern. And what's the thing about patterns is that we now know there is a pattern and we have to undo the pattern. We've got to do everything we can as a city to undo the pattern because we can't continue to diverge this way. We basically have some neighborhoods that have totally fine fortunes and some neighborhoods that have, declining fortunes. And what's that going to happen as a city? None of us can afford this. I don't care what neighborhood you live in. We can't afford this ethically. We can't afford this psychologically. We can't afford this financially to have some neighborhoods that are growing and some neighborhoods that are not. And this thing is called divergence. And divergence occurs with a very specific reality behind it. And I want to just show you this little image. Hopefully you can see it on your screen. That, when you have 2 computers, if you and I have a computer in our house, the connection between us, there's one connection, right, between you and me, even though we have 2 computers. The minute I go from 2 computers to 4 computers, I get 6 connections because there's different people that I can now talk to on the computer. Once I get to 8 users, then I have 28 connections. So we can mentally see all of these permutations, but it's hard to visualize. Like I can't see the connection that I have with you, but it's there. And it's when you have all these connections, social connections, financial connections, digital connections, physical connections, that's the thickness of an ecosystem that makes for healthy neighborhoods and sustainable neighborhoods. I have to get my mouse 1 second. That just fell right off my lap. And so this is hard to see when you don't have many connections. We all can tell when we don't have that thing, a bus stop or a computer or a bank. But we know when we don't have that thing. But when that thing is missing, a good transit system, good digital access, good financial institutions, when that thing is missing, it's not just that the thing is missing. It's all of the things that opportunity arises. When you have connections between people, this is when we gain knowledge. This is when we get to gain trust with each other. And that is the commodity or the currency of the 21st century. Knowledge, innovation, all those things that can happen within a neighborhood because we're connected. So connectivity is one of the reasons why some of these neighborhoods are declining and some of these neighborhoods are growing. Connected neighborhoods grow, isolated neighborhoods don't. And it could be isolated on some things and not all things, or it could be isolated across all of these things. And so isolation is what we want to try and end. We need our neighborhoods that are isolated along any one of these dimensions to end this kind of disconnection. And so that's the purpose of our project. the Baltimore Community Change Project. And I'm going to show you a couple things of how you can access some of this information. I'm going to stick to number 5. We wrote 6 different issue briefs. You're welcome to read all of them. They could be, something that might put you to sleep. But if you read number 5, it's all about how Baltimore communities become more connected. And one of the things that I want to show you in that, and when I say connectivity, that's all kinds of things: digital connectivity, social connectivity, electoral connectivity, right? Being engaged in the electoral system. And that's what I want to show you today. So, whoops, I'm going to stop that screen share, and I'm going to turn over to our project, the Baltimore Community Change Project, and I'll put the link in the chat. And then I do want to say that we are going to have a series of events. So basically, I'm here today to invite you to a bunch of different events that are going on throughout the month of March, so that we all get connected to each other, get connected to the information, get connected to the data. So like I mentioned, there's an introduction. If you want to take a look at that, it's a pretty quick read. There are 6 different reports, and there's a lot of interactive data. So I'm going to focus in on communities and how things have changed in terms of connectivity. And I'm going to show you one quick thing before I turn it back over or answer any questions. So this chapter talks a lot about how we're connected in terms of digital, social, and civic measures. And one of the things that you'll find is that places that were disconnected were predominantly African-American neighborhoods that had lower incomes and that saw significant population decline. So we also saw the opposite. Highest rates of people voting in their neighborhoods actually happened in places that were growing. So all of the indicators that we have here show you how things are related and how different parts of the city might not have access to the internet. So this is that same map. Let me turn this off. Park Heights up here, Pimlico, Arlington, and where the mayor has invested some of their priority areas for digital access. And these are the same places where we have low community digital access. So here, oops, let me take this out. The more red you are, the fewer people that had internet access at home. It looks very similar to the other map that I showed you, which is why I had to check too. But this map is where we have few people with internet access at home, and it's almost identical to that other map that I showed you of where we lost population. So that's one thing to look at in this report. And then I did want to mention, because I know we're talking about libraries, one of the interesting things is that Park Heights actually saw gain. So when it's blue, it's a gain, and when it's red, it's a loss. Park Heights, Arlington, Pimlico saw more people with a library membership between 2010 and 2020 than many other parts of the city. So the darker the blue, that means that more and more people have a library card. And that is something interesting to think about in terms of where libraries are located, right? These little dots are where libraries are located. And this is where we have Park Heights, but there is no library currently in the neighborhood, which I know is something that the community is thinking about. So these reports hopefully are ways to arm yourself. In fact, we look at all neighborhoods in the city. If it's blue, that means that they had an increase in number of persons with a library cards per 1,000. And the red is where we see a decrease. And notice Southern Park Heights was the #1 neighborhood with an increase in library cards. It grew by 67 per 1,000 people. So this is telling you something, and hopefully these reports are going to help us think about how you can use this information in the future. So take a look at issue brief number 5, which is all about connectivity. And finally, stay connected with us. We have a bunch of different events going on in March, trivia nights, we have webinars next week, but I do want to mention in the end of March, we want people to come together and talk about solutions. So we have small groups, 30 or 40 people, and the closest one to Park Heights. You can come to any one of them. These are all of one is in South Baltimore, two are online, one is with Dr. Brown from the Black Butterfly, one is with Majora Carter on the east side. I don't know if you know about her, but she is a MacArthur genius who just wrote this book called Reclaiming Your Neighborhood. And so if you come to this event, you'll get that book. Mount Lebanon Baptist Church is over lunch if you want to join us for lunch on Wednesday. And these are small, so it'll be socially distanced, but with Pastor Frank Lance, or if you want to come downtown, or if you want to come to the University of Baltimore. Anybody can come to any one of these convenings. You can come to more than one convening, and this will be conversations across the city for people to start thinking about how solutions to help deal with this divergence that I just explained. And then everything that we come out with after this week is going to go to all of you. It's going to go back to you as neighborhoods. It's going to go to our elected officials, and it's going to go to all of us so that by 2030, we no longer see population loss in our city.
So good evening again, everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but welcome to our March Park Heights community meeting. I'm going to be very brief. Tonight was supposed to be a night to get you energized on preparing for our advocacy for the library. SEMA did a great job of telling us that we have we already have obviously residents in Park Heights that are utilizing the library in many ways. So we are on the path to get that library in Park Heights. And before we get started, we promised every month that we would try to make sure we give you a little update on development in Park Heights. There's always discussions about what's not happening in Park Heights, what hasn't happened. We're trying to energize our community to move forward and to recognize much of the development that is happening in Park Heights. So, so again, I just want to remind everyone, some people who have lived here their whole lives, when we talk about the master plan, they still don't know that they live in the master plan area. So the Park Heights community, one, is the largest urban renewal project in the state of Maryland. So we have lots of residents, over 30,000 residents, approximately, hundreds of businesses, upwards of 80 or more faith institutions. And our boundaries are from Druid Park Lake Drive to the south, Northern Parkway to the north, Green Spring Avenue to the east, and Wabash Avenue to the west. So if you live within those boundaries, work, play, or live, you are in the Park Heights Master Plan community. And we've listed just a few of the gems here in Park Heights. This is not a comprehensive list, but we have the Delta Community Center, we have the Zeta Center for Healthy and Aging Adults, we have healthcare facilities, we have Sinai Hospital here, Park West Medical Center, who's been in this community serving us for years, Giles Medical Center, Langston Hughes Community Center. We have Urban Farm in Park Heights. We have 3 recreation centers, and we're surrounded by our friends of the parks at Silburn and Druid Hill and the Maryland Zoo. We have 2 21st century schools and 3 community schools in this community. And we have the only Sankofa African Children's Museum in Park Heights. We're home to the Maryland Motor Vehicle and lots of other assets that don't get talked about. So we're going to continue to highlight them and celebrate them and remind us in Park Heights, those who live here, work and play, that Park Heights is on the move, it's on the rise. We're here together. We hope that you continue to come together as a community. And I'm excited over the last 2 years of being here, of seeing how we're really pulling together. So I want to tell you some of the most recent updates on some of the development in Park Heights. So our physical footprint is changing. We have a lot more work to do, but let's celebrate some of the new housing opportunities that are coming. So for many years, we've been talking about Renaissance Row. Renaissance Row is officially open for those who did not know. We are leasing. And we have, and I may misquote this, but I think we have 16 tenants in the building. Park Heights Renaissance will be moving in later in the spring. So if you have not had an opportunity and you're looking for a new housing opportunity, please stop by. The leasing office is open. And thanks to our councilwoman who is here tonight, we are also promoting her security deposit in conjunction with the leasing so that you can move in and you may not have a security deposit. So we're excited about that. If you know others that you want to introduce to Park Heights, the apartments look great, please stop by. So this has 84 new units that we've brought to the Park Heights community. And then I want to give an update on the 2600 block of Loyola Avenue. We're generating economic opportunities here through home ownership. As you all know, some of our media partners gave us much criticism about this project over the years, and we're happy to say that progress is well underway on this block. We have 3 of the properties that have actually been rehabbed and sold. The first property that sold was to a first-time homeowner who graduated recently from Morgan State University. So we're very excited about that. 3 of those properties are under contract today and 1 coming soon. So in the next month or so, we are going to be working with that community as well to address, as many say, don't forget about the people who live here. And I'm definitely on a mission to make sure we honor the people who live here, especially growing up myself in this community. So phase 2 of the project will start with home repair grants and facade grants for the residents who currently live on the block. So we're excited about this project. Some of the pictures here of this is what it used to look like. And if you ride past there today, you'll see these beautiful properties that are making steady progress in this community. And I want to give a shout out to the celebration we had to kick off this project. And here at the bottom is my very own family in Park Heights. My uncle here in the middle was a very proud resident who lived on that block at the time of this celebration. Unfortunately, we lost him to COVID. So we are really turning this block out to make sure, in his honor as well for me, that this project is a success for this community who has been waiting for this change for a long time. And then some of the other exciting things that are happening in the community, we have two groundbreakings coming also in 2022. Woodland Gardens 2 is a project led by HI in partnership with Park Heights Renaissance. We will be going to groundbreaking on the senior building, hopefully in the next 30 to 60 days. And then also, we are also partners with Conifer Developers for a transit-oriented design project that will be coming at the Cold Spring Lane Station, going to groundbreaking also later this year. That will also bring another 163 units to Park Heights residents and hopefully to attract new residents as well. And then what's coming in the major redevelopment area, we're all excited about this. Everyone's heard that the Henson Group is also doing a major project here on the 17 acres. It would be a combination of single family homes, a senior development, senior building as well. And here we know that we've had years of renovations at CC Jackson, and what we're here to talk about tonight, we're also excited about will be a new library in that major redevelopment area. So I wanted to just end very quickly, and we're gonna turn it over to our partners are here tonight from the Eni Pratt to also show their commitment. We've heard on many calls that, oh, Eni Pratt isn't interested in a library. They are very much interested in building a library in Park Heights. And they are here tonight to share our commitment together in collaboration with our legislators, our city officials and residents for a need for a library in Park Heights. But I wanted to start us off. Last year, we had a huge cleanup in Park Heights. Oh, okay, so we're gonna put this on pause for one moment, and we're gonna let our sergeant from the Northwest District introduce himself very quickly. He has to run off to another meeting. You can come over here. I'm sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm Sergeant Rashard Hammond. I'm the new sergeant in the Northwest District for. So I just wanted to jump on the meeting real quick and introduce myself to everybody to let them know that I'm here. I'm in the crime fight. I'm ready to help. You know, I'm gonna leave my number. She can put it in the chat. And I'm leaving some important flyers for you to give to your friends, your families, your neighbors, anybody interested in joining the fight. We're currently hiring. You know, I'm a Baltimore native, and I'm very proud to be a police officer from a city that I'm from, that raised me. And we can have police from everywhere, right? From anywhere in the world. But I really would like more people from Baltimore to join the department. So I can email you this. I had some crime stats, but we know what it is. The crime is bad. We gotta work together. So since I gotta run, I just wanted to leave these flyers, introduce myself, and I'm gonna leave my number. So for everyone here, you know, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I'm very, you know, responsive. And yes, I know your areas. I'm telling you, like, I'm ready to work with everyone to figure, you know, something out so we can work together and really make an impact. Like, I'm not just saying this to say this to sound good. Like, this is serious. This is serious business. This is serious. We have a sickness and we have to do something to stop it. And it's going to take everyone in this room, and we all have to do this together. This is not a one-person fight. It's not just the police. It's everyone. You know, and this is a give and take. I'm gonna do something and I expect something back. So my phone number is 443.
Uh-oh, y'all got a pen?
443-934-1635. 443-934-1635. 443-934-1635. Text me, call me, you're not borrowing me. I need to know, you know, and one of the things, Hammond, H-A-M-O-N-D. First name is Rashard, R-A-S-H-A-D. Yes. I work day work, but you know, adjust my schedule to whatever we need.
Miss Catherine Cooper Nicholas has her hand up.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. How'd you get to, she can, you got unmute her.
Ms. Cooper, do you want to ask a question?
You got unmute her.
Oh, it's unmuted.
All right, yeah, tell her.
Miss Catherine, you can unmute yourself.
No, the question I had, he answered it, so I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Welcome
thank
again.
you.
Welcome,
So,
welcome to the Heights.
yes. So any other questions before I go? I'm sorry, I gotta go. But, you know, I can, I'll probably just jump on the Zoom to get, and then just check to see if there's anything else I need to say.
Thank you. So we're gonna introduce our CEO of the Enoch Pratt Library. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
All right.
And then.
Is this a microphone? or
No, you can just.
To speak? Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Hi to everyone in the audience. I'm Heidi Daniel. I'm the CEO of the Enoch Pratt Free Library. And with me this evening is Darcel Graham, who is our Deputy Director. And I'm going to let Darcel talk a little bit about the history of libraries in Park Heights, and then I'll give you a little bit of an update. But Darcel's from Park Heights.
I am.
So she wanted to be sure that she could come talk about
Absolutely.
the library. You wanna say-
Sure, I don't think we need, can you
I
hear
don't
me
think we
okay?
need to. Can they hear
Can they
us?
hear us okay? Okay, so it is like nostalgia walking in here. The last time I was in here for Park Heights reunion, which was amazing. I have a lot of family that still live in Park Heights. I myself live in the bottom, Park Heights, Shirley Avenue, Oswego Mall. This is like heartwarming to see all the development, Yolanda, that Park Heights has been really engaged in the last couple of years. It brings my heart smiles and warms me to see that this community is still vibrant, this community is still thriving, and it is absolutely a pleasure to be here with you guys and talk about what we want to do to support the new library. So just a little bit of the background, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know. We had two branches here. One was on Keyworth Avenue, a stone's throw away from my house, and I think Yolanda's house as well. And then we had another one that kind of moved or migrated right here on Park Heights and Garrison called the Pimlico branch. Keyworth closed about in the 1980s, and then Park Heights or Pimlico closed in 1991. Oh, sit down. So, when Seema from Vinya is talking about the card registration, I think for us at Pratt, it indicates the actual commitment that the community has to the library and the importance that it would, and how important it would be to have an actual branch. I think a lot of that stems from a lot of the outreach that we do and a lot of our early learning initiatives that we partner up and down Park Heights Avenue. A lot of our mobile units, our mobile job center, our bookmobiles and book buggies that are still very active in the community. Not to mention our Reisterstown branch, which we know is not in the Park Heights community, but between that and Pennsylvania Avenue, kind of cornerstones Park Heights. Yeah, and also Forest Park, thank you. So I'm gonna pass it over to our CEO, Heidi Daniels, but I do wanna just say, this will not be the last time that you will see me. I'm actually really excited that these meetings happen, not only because of my history growing up in Park Heights and my family that still lives here, but about the growth that I see in the community. And I also want to give back to this community as well. So Yolanda, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm gonna turn it over. I'm coming back. It feels so good, and to see all the new development and pictures makes me really smile. So I know we're a great neighborhood, always been Park Heights. If it was music, I would do the Park Heights Shuffle, but I'm not. But I know we're a great community, and I'm so glad to see all the development. So nice to see everyone, definitely won't be the last. Next, you're gonna hear from our great CEO, Heidi Daniels.
So Darcel kind of went over the history of the branches we've had here. I got here about 4.5 years ago. So unlike Darcel, I can't do the Park Heights Shuffle, although I'm willing to learn if anyone wants to teach me. I got here 4.5 years ago, and at that time we immediately, talked to Councilwoman Middleton, and she said we need a library in Park Heights. So the library did a feasibility study and identified CC Jackson as the site where we would most likely build a library. We looked at several sites with an architect, and CC Jackson was identified. Also, it gives us the opportunity to work with our partners at Parks and Rec so that we can kind of create a area that has a lot of activity and a lot of different offerings for the whole community, for all ages, that we can bring services into, whether it be small business, incubating, early literacy programming, after school programming for teens, programs for seniors, computer literacy classes, you know, just a place for you to sit and chill and check out a book if that's what you want to do. So we had a few great community conversations around that as well. So then COVID hit, and so over the last few years, we've been kind of trying to identify funding, which is the big barrier, just to be upfront of building a library. It's just identifying the funding. So I know the Pratt is committed to building this library. I know your councilwoman is committed. Obviously, Yolanda and Park Heights is committed. And it sounds, you know we have a community that's really energized around this as well. And SEMA shared some great data that we can use with stakeholders to push this forward. So we're really hopeful and excited that we're going to be identifying those funding sources and be able to move forward with building a library in Park Heights. But tonight we mostly wanted to let you know that we're still working on it. We're very committed and really want to work with all of you to develop the library that you want for your community. I will be coming to a meeting with Darcel, probably sitting quietly, and the reason is because I want to learn more about your community, and certainly you all can reach out to me or talk to me at any time to share any information with me so that I can make sure that we're responsive to what Park Heights wants and needs. So we're really excited to be working with you guys. I will also mention that the library, you know, the city hasn't built a new library in 15 years, so this would, you know, it's very exciting to even be thinking about the possibility of a library. We think Park Heights is the community that is ready for this new library.
We are so right.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, the libraries, all the libraries are open now. We've been open for, actually, we've been doing services in a variety of fashions for the last 2.5 years, but we're fully open, have been for a while now, right?
But we need some money.
Yeah, we've actually been open since.
They say you can eat on the store.
So I just want to say thank you, one, for coming out publicly tonight to show your commitment to all the myths that our partners at the Enoch Pratt don't want a library. You
no,
see,
we want a library.
they very much want a library. We want a library. Our legislators have shown a commitment. We've been having discussions for the last couple of years. We haven't let it rest. My big mouth has talked about it in every venue that I can. Our councilwoman, we had our PCDA process here recently. Our legislators, our PCDA board all show commitment to the library. We do know that there's a funding gap, but we are standing together to say, we are going to go after funding. We are going to be active participants. We are looking for public-private partnerships to build the library. We're not going to wait 10 years only on public dollars. We are making a commitment. We need partners. We are here tonight to advertise that this may be a different library than what we first imagined it to be, because libraries are evolving over the years. We are in the digital age. We don't need a library that has 20,000 books per se. Libraries have become hubs. Over the pandemic, we have been studying this stuff over the pandemic. Libraries have been the hubs for COVID relief, for food distribution, for broadband access.
Test distribution, mass.
But she knows more than I know.
Yolanda stated, right? But that's- we do know that what we started out with 3 years ago probably won't be what we end up with, but that's because we also will be responsive to what we need, right? And so we know how to get you books if you need them in your community. We want to build a building for people. And that's what it'll look like. And the question I see in the chat, how much will it cost to open a new library? I mean, it depends on the end square footage and who we partner with, but you know, it is a multi-million-dollar proposal, so.
Yeah, and I'll say, you know, I guess part of my vision when I first got here and learned we didn't have any money is to be creative, right? We are all about redeveloping Park Heights. I really imagine that we could have a mixed-use development project like we see in many areas of the country and right here in the state with retail, maybe some food eatery places, or a shared use where there's housing. Like, we should just think broadly, and I wanted to say this tonight publicly, that you have to help us. Don't be locked into, if you don't get a 5-story library that costs $20 million. But if we can get to the finish line, and it looks like our legislators are working very hard, we are committed to doing a fundraising campaign ourselves as the organizations that we will need you to help us spread the word, but we are committed. And I think that we're almost there. So we are going to make sure that this is a engagement process with the community. So please, if you have ideas, we've also gotten invited, because I talk about it everywhere I go. We've gotten invited to St. Mary's County. They have done some terrific creative things with their library. So again, tonight we're here just to say, let's get excited about building a library in Park Heights.
On the
We're at that stage now where the community we need that involvement. We have a committee going. I think there were a couple people this evening that have shared with me that they want to be on that committee and also shared some new ideas as well. As far as somebody talked about the state having all the space. And there's so many different options that will help the success of this library. And right now, I am just so excited. Pratt has been on board from the very, very beginning. They were the first ones that helped to bring this to fruition. So I can't.
Yolanda, can you hear us?
I can't.
Yolanda, we're not hearing anything. Councilwoman, we can't hear you.
Okay. Just a second.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about
We
that.
didn't hear anything that you said, Councilwoman, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I guess I'll just repeat a little bit of it. I know when Yolanda first came here as executive director, one of the first things I mentioned was, are you going to support this library in Park Heights? And hands down, her support was there and continues to be there, and she is on the forefront of this. We have a committee. The Pratt Library, when this idea was brought to them, they were on board from the very, very beginning, and also have money to put up with it to show their support. We are now in that community involvement piece. If you have community, this is going to be your library, so we need you to be a part of this with your ideas. This library is going to cover people all the way to the Pratt Library that's on North Avenue. That's the void that's there. And to just think that there has been not one new library in this city in 15 years is just unheard of. So this is definitely going to happen. The mayor is on board, the state is on board. Now it's just putting those pieces together with the community. So we all need to be excited. This is something that's going to come up and happen right in the center of Park Heights. It's going to bring, libraries bring people. People are going to buy homes and things because of the library. It's connected to the schools, as Yolanda has mentioned. So education also is the root of our Black communities. And I just see, the churches down the street are going to be involved. All of this is going to come to fruition very, very soon. So we need your continued support. So thank you again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will keep you updated as we learn more. And again, we are still trying to work on those final funding, those critical funding pieces. But we're really hopeful that with advocacy and the support of the mayor's office and the support of Yolanda and Councilwoman Middleton, that we'll be able to get there. We're trying to be very careful to not say, to overpromise, but we also want everyone to be hopeful and to help us advocate for what we want to bring.
Yeah. So I'm claiming, we're gonna build it, we don't know when, but we are taking the steps, and you hear the commitment. One thing I will encourage, those that are on the call, if you wanna put in the chat room, we have formed a preliminary mini task force to just work through the planning to make sure we were on the same page. So we are going to formalize that officially. We have already gotten some feedback on members that want to be engaged. But if you are interested in joining this advocacy campaign and fundraising campaign for the library, please put your information in the chat, give us a call. You know how to reach us at Park Heights Renaissance. You can follow up with your councilwoman. As Councilwoman Middleton said, I do want to make a commitment that the mayor is committed. There have been much talk about where the library is going to be. We don't even have a location. And Mayor Scott came in right out the gate and said, here's a letter saying the library will be at Park Heights and Woodland Avenue. So
That's right.
we don't have all the pieces together, but to me, this is the foundation and we're ready. So we look forward to working with you and building a library over the next few years, not the next 10 years.
We're going to get some money from the mayor too. I'm just
I
putting
didn't
that.
say that. No, I do believe that there will be a commitment as well. But anybody?
There is a question in the chat, and the question is, where can leaders send community input?
You can contact Park Heights Renaissance and we will follow up accordingly depending on what your questions are. But you can email us, you can follow us on social media and send us information. You can call our office, our number is 410-664-4890. 410-664-4890. And we're at 3939 Ricestown Road. We are not officially open to the public, but you can definitely call us, text us, and we're out on the street all the time. Our employees have worked through the entire pandemic. So if you see our staff out, you can also ask them. Our Safe Street staff, our school coordinators are in each of the 5 schools in the community. And I know you've seen our Clean and Green team out on the street. So any of us at Park Heights Renaissance that you see in the community, or you can call us or stop by the office. We're not accepting you in the office, but we will still service you if you show up at the office for information. Does anyone else have any questions?
Can you describe to us what that funding formula looks like? You say that the mayor's committee, state legislators,
So right now,
committee.
sure.
So
So
you say that there's still money to be raised
Yes.
in the minds of the community. Now, I'll make sure that in the minds of the community, like the cities there, the states there, what's the problem? So can you describe to us what that looks like and what the gap actually is?
So right now, we know that we have slots funding at $2.5 million, right, which is good. And then the library, generally, we can apply for state grants through the Maryland State Library, which has federal fund, or which gets state funding for capital projects. But the pieces have to be there for us to apply for that funding. So right now, we're in conversations, around what funding could be available. There's a lot of funding coming in at the federal level right now and at the state level, so there's possibilities there that we're exploring. I don't have anything concrete that I can share with you. I just, that's why we're being a little bit hesitant about saying that there's committed funding, because we're still working on all of those pieces to put that together.
And we'll continue to provide these updates as we have each meeting. But tonight, we just wanted to acknowledge that we do have some seed money, and we are not going to let that money sit anymore. We are going to start working with the community, because if we're going to reimagine the library, we probably need to refresh the original feasibility study and the concept plan. So we don't have the money today, but we do have the seed money to get started, and we need the community to give that input so that we can reimagine what the new concept and design
It's also
looks
great
like.
to have energy around the project, so that it doesn't fall off the radar of everyone. So we want to make sure that we continue that communication and that advocacy so that it's not forgotten, right?
And everything that we're doing it as well is about partnerships throughout the whole city. And most libraries have private and philanthropic partnerships that help keep that operation going and help with specific things geared to that particular community. So we need that private money to keep it moving. That has been, I think, part of the problem with the lack of libraries around the city. Everybody has to put their part into play.
And look at tonight as the first fundraising advocacy effort, right? Getting the word out and letting people know that they could be involved in this project is the first step, because if you form public-private partnerships, it's usually what it takes to really rebuild communities. And so we are out talking about this community every day, everywhere we go. And there are private partners that are interested, but they want to see that this is real. It's a commitment and it's a project. So we hope that this brings us all together to really think really creative on how we can build this money, even if it's not all public dollars. We actually hope it's not all public dollars.
And remember, it's going to be on that campus of CC Jackson that has the great, field that you can do plenty of things on. It has that state-of-the-art center there. There's going to be a community garden going there, just lots of things. And that library is also going to be that connector right there with that centerpiece.
So it's going to be a separate structure, it's not going to be in this building?
No, it's part of that campus.
Yeah, so our first goal, of course, would be to build a nice standalone independent library that integrates all the services, but also plays off of what Parks and Rec offer, right? Because we know that we can do some complementary programs, we can maybe do some resource sharing as to agencies that are publicly funded. We have the ability to we're doing some of that now at some other locations. So we'd be able to really create some dynamic resources.
Any other questions?
It's really wanting to, just keep the conversation going while we pull together the pieces of funding that we don't have yet, so that we can keep the momentum alive.
Any other questions, comments, recommendations? Anybody excited?
Yeah, and please do, and please, just one thing in it, I think if you haven't been to our Pennsylvania Avenue branch, it's right there on 10 North, we're doing some amazing innovative services there, that really leans into what that community needs. We have social work in the library, we have lawyers that work in the library, and we just started a peer navigation program, which is people that have lived experience with substance and mental health abuse.
Right.
So,
our social
work in the library. So I think when we're talking about reimagining the library, we're talking about just what Yolanda and Connie has already said. It's not just books anymore. And it's not just the librarians walking around kind of shushy. It's kind of, we are really working hard to adapt our services to what that community needs. And it's different from every single community in Baltimore.
So whether you're looking to start a small business or you need help with, a personal family situation, you need resources, or you need a place for your, after school programming, that's what we do.
And I'm excited because I think this community, like all the other communities in Baltimore, have very special needs. And so I'm excited to work with all of you to determine what that is.
You said the Lord, they had the Pennsylvania branch?
No, there are a lot of our branches, as well as the social. Yep.
You gonna go down and check it out for us and bring it back and tell us how
Thanks,
it's working?
Yolanda.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anybody have any other questions? Sure. Yes, there will be a 163 unit new apartment complex that will break ground later this year, and it will be right across the street from the metro stop at Cold Spring. We gotta visualize it. It's right at Cold Spring and Wabash. It's right now, it's like an open field. There were like some big barriers back there. Remember those big barriers that were sitting there next to the school? So now you're gonna take a drive around there. Right. Yeah. Any other questions? Does anyone else have any community updates? Anything they want to share tonight? You can come up here so people
If anything, this is just a comment. But, you know, this is a very nice dialogue that we're having as far as funding for a new library and stuff like that. But, you know, just as, you know, putting in my opinion as a young person in the community, it would be nice if we could see a little bit more, you know, than just a library.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, like, you know, just a little bit more, like, a little bit more, I guess you could say, a little bit more options, more than just, you know, a library per se. Because I'm just being honest, you know, whenever I step outside, you know, in my neighborhood, it's really depressing. It's really
So what's
gray.
your name, young man?
My name is Otis.
Otis.
Yes.
So you're gonna come connect with us so you can get involved? Because we want your ideas.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it's all about. We want those ideas, and we agree with you.
Yeah. And, you know, I understand that Renaissance is supposed to mean rebirth. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure out exactly when exactly is the rebirth of the community supposed to happen. Because whenever I go outside, you know, the roads are messed up, the houses are dilapidated. They've been dilapidated longer than I've been alive. So, you know, it'd just be nice. I mean, these are good ideas that we're throwing out, but it'd just be nice to see some actual tangible results behind all of this as well.
Yep, I agree with you. And I think that some of the results are starting to show. We
Yeah, they
showed
have.
some of them
They
tonight,
have.
and we need more commitment and involvement from our community, and we will start seeing those things. I really do want you to come meet us, and we want those ideas from the youth perspective.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you, Otis.
No problem at all.
Miss
someone asked
Hunter,
a
yes, Sister Saving the City, we open to April, they would love to have you. And can you put your information in the chat?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we have a lot of youth engagement.
I'm sorry, I'm camera shy.
Okay, you can hop over here and then.
Yeah.
Thank you, Otis.
No problem. I guess you can.
Anyone else have any questions, comments,
I'm
updates?
trying to figure out what could I. I guess I'm sorry.
Is that
Just your
your
name
phone?
and email.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see anything with the thing. Hi. Wait till you finish. You can just stand right here. I think that was- From our councilman's office, want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Wait till you finish.
No, you can go ahead.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Shaquetta Wallace. I work for Councilman Isaac
Okay, but
Yitzi
that's my
Schleifer.
name and that's my
He's the
email.
councilperson of the 5th District. So Councilwoman Charity Middleton has the 6th District, and we have the 5th. Both are in Park Heights. And we're very happy to be here tonight. Sorry, if I sound a little sticky, I'm just coming from a fire, and Councilman Schleifer is there now. So sorry that he can't be with you presently. So I just wanted to announce that on May 1st, the mayor actually signed Councilman Schleifer's legislation for the Criminal Apprehension Fund. So that's going to now go to a charter amendment, and the citizens of Baltimore can vote to see if they would, can vote and share their voice of if they would like that to become a charter where it increases the amount of money that's offered for any crime, any violent crime or homicide that happens in the city of Baltimore. Right now, there is Metro Crime Stoppers, and they offer a reward. Unfortunately, that reward is often around $2,000, $5,000, and it doesn't seem to incentivize anyone to give more information. So this is hopefully going to open up more of an avenue for people to say, well, I did see something, I want to say something, and I can do it anonymously and pick up my reward anonymously, and we can close more cases.
So how does it work again?
The short version, if you are the witness of a crime and you report it anonymously, when you report it, they'll give you a number. That number will be for you. You'll never have to give your name. If the information that you gave is used to apprehend or convict that person that committed the crime, you can call back and say, hey, my number is so and so and so. I gave you all a tip regarding so and so and so. And they'll say, oh yes, we see that there was a conviction and you actually are due this reward money. They'll arrange with you to meet up somewhere of your choosing, and at your choosing, 2 individuals will come. You'll tell them what you're wearing, they'll tell you what they're wearing, and the first person is there to make sure that they hand you the money. The second person is there to watch their back, in essence. And you take your money and you walk away.
I'm thinking like they had something a few years ago. It was a while back where,
If it was a while back, you can still call and give a tip on it, and if it leads to an arrest and a conviction.
they had this program.
Metro Crime Stoppers.
Cut it out. Okay, so anyway, it's a new revised program to get citizens involved in what you see happening in your community. We know crime is a very serious issue all across the city, actually across the country at this point. But we do need citizens to be involved in that process, so you're not being victims in your own home. And this sounds like a safe way for you to give input to help in those investigations.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And if
Thank
you're
you for
trying to
coming
reach us,
tonight.
District 5 at baltimorecity.gov is the easiest and the shortest one to go for.
District 5.
At baltimorecity.gov.
Good to see you. Okay, no problem. Okay. Anyone else have any updates?
I'd like to share with the group a reminder that our second quarterly business workshop is scheduled for Wednesday, April the 20th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it will be hosted at our very own Sankofa Children's Museum on Pimlico Road. Please save the date. You'll be hearing more from us about it. Again, it's on Wednesday, April the 20th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. at Sankofa. In addition to that, Park Heights Renaissance is currently engaging conversations for planning a Preakness celebration to acknowledge not only Preakness, but the contributions made to Preakness by African Americans. We plan to acknowledge the contribution of Spider Anderson, the first Black jockey to win the Preakness, on May the 21st. Save the date. We are excited about creating this citywide festival that will put all eyes on Park Heights as we celebrate the Preakness, as we celebrate us and our contributions to the Preakness in Baltimore City. So we're looking forward to seeing you all as a part of this celebration and those that are still to come. Thank you.
So with that, I'm gonna make sure there are no other questions in the chat. If anyone else has any community updates that they want to share. Well, Councilwoman Middleton just said, for those that didn't hear, it was nice to have, try to ease us back into our first in-person meeting. So again, please bear with us tonight. We had some technical difficulties, but we haven't been live. So I think we did the best we could. I hope you heard us. We're able to receive the information. We hope that the next community meeting, we could have more people live, and hopefully eventually we won't have to be virtual. So thank you all again for coming tonight. I want to share one last update for the community as well. I almost forgot. Again, last year, we created a grant in the name and honor of George Mitchell, who we all know and love and we miss dearly. And last year, we launched the first annual George E. Mitchell Fellowship Grant. Farmer Chippy won that first award last year, Project Access. He's been working with our youth in the schools over the past year. We're looking forward to seeing him really grow and expand, as we all know and love Chippy in Park Heights and our urban farm. Tomorrow, we will be releasing our second year of that grant. So please stay tuned. It's $25,000. It is, again, a grant to move in the honor of George, his leadership skills, and the vision that he had for this community around youth development, workforce development, and other programs that could be impactful and move the needle on our strategic vision and direction for the community. So stay tuned for that. We look forward to seeing those applications. And again, as a reminder, with our partnership and now strengthening our partnership with the Stronach Group, that awardee will be mentioned at the Preakness Black Eyed Susan Stakes again this year, and that will happen every year. So we're really trying to work together to really make this an integrated process where we in the community are a part of the Preakness celebration. So I want to thank the Stronach Group again for working with us over the last 2 years to really strengthen that partnership. And one last thing, the Stronach Group also sponsored an art project this year. That the Art of Racing is a art contest that ended on March 1st. We will be having the round of judgings on March 24th, I believe. See, they know all the information. But that art will be displayed this year at the Preakness and all throughout the Preakness, their marketing materials. And they have graciously, all proceeds from those marketing materials will be given to Park Heights Renaissance to further the work that we do in Park Heights. So thank you all. If there are no other questions, comments, I want to say thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you for coming out tonight. It was great to see everyone. We look forward to seeing you next month at our next community meeting.